Now, without those key endorsements, will Mamdani be able to make it across the finish line? My next guest sees that opportunity to move in. Independent New York City mayoral candidate Jim Walden is here. Jim, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me on, Brian.
So let's just start with Mamdani. We just heard a report about him. He comes out and sort of tries to clarify his stance on Globalize the Intifada. He hasn't used that phrase. And yesterday, for the first time, or 2 days ago, I should say, he finally says, I'm going to discourage the use of that phrase. Where do you stand on his new stance now?
You don't need a rabbi to tell you that you shouldn't use those words. You don't need anyone to tell you that those words mean violence against Jews. Everybody knows that. So this is the problem with the choices that we have, and I offer a fundamentally different version of leadership. I don't have to back away from any of my words. I've been the same person I've been for my entire professional career as a prosecutor and then as a lawyer fighting for people from every walk of life. So I know that it's anti-Semitic. I know that his policy of sanctioning and divesting from Israel is anti-Semitic. We don't need an anti-Semitic mayor. We need someone who's here for all New Yorkers, and that's what I offer.
You know, there's been a lot of talk about the polling here and about this anti-Mamdani move. I want to first start off by saying, do you believe that Mamdani is an existential threat? I know you said that, but do you still believe that?
I do. And again, we need a mayor who is not anti-police. Mamdani clearly has not only embraced the defund the police movement, he's been at the radical fringes of it, saying he wanted to dismantle the entire NYPD. Having a mayor who one of his platforms is to divest from Israeli companies when we have $26 billion of Israeli private equity money in our economy is a fundamentally terrible idea. Someone who has embraced terrorists, like actual convicted terrorists, is a terrible idea. So how he got through, I really don't understand. My understanding is that a lot of people have buyer's remorse because the Democrats did a terrible job on opposition research on him during the primary. My team, as soon as we realized that he was probably going to win months before the primary, this was no surprise to us, we started doing the opposition research, and now we've gotten it out. But at the end of the day, I say to New Yorkers again and again and again, you don't have to choose these broken politicians who are either extremists or craven or incompetent. There is a competent change agent in the race, and that's what I'm going to be.
Do you believe he's a communist?
I think that his words speak volumes. I fundamentally believe that when people use words, you have to believe them. And if you don't, then you're duped. And he has used words like taking private property. He has advocated for seizing vacant apartments that are held by other people that aren't living here and turning them over to the state. I don't believe that that's consistent with New York values or American values, right? We need a strong safety net, to be sure. We've had safety net programs since the 1600s in this country. Can we do better? Absolutely. But a socialist economy has failed everywhere it's been tried. We don't want to be Cuba with state-owned grocery stores that don't offer consumers any choice at all. They have empty shelves. I'm going to bring businesses into New York City. I'm going to create a better economy, better paying jobs. That's the way we advance.
When you look at the polling so far, and respectfully, you are polling last,
yes,
at even 1% in some polls here, behind Curtis Leewall and Mayor Eric Adams and Mamdani and former Governor Andrew Cuomo. So why stay in this race, and how do you see yourself making your way to the very top of that list?
So listen, the polls, we've all seen the polls are wrong as much as they are right. And it would be strange if I was polling higher, given the fact that I haven't been a public figure for 30 years. I mean, these people are been public figures and in the spotlight for 30 years. I'm breaking through. I raised $3.5 million. I got 24,000 people to sign my petitions to get on the ballot. You know, our poll numbers are going to get up when New Yorkers meet me and they realize that there is a mayor that actually wants to listen to them and actually wants to restore integrity to City Hall.
So there's been a lot of talk here about the anti-Mamdani vote, particularly the fact that you are part of the problem in the sense that there is a split vote, that by having so many crowded candidates on this ballot, you're going to hand Mamdani the keys to City Hall. You've proposed an idea that the person who polls the most or the highest should be the lone candidate to face Mamdani in November. I believe you said that poll should be done in September. Cuomo, Adams. Cuomo seems to be on board with the idea. Adams and Curtis Leewall are not on board with that idea. What is your message to those who are not for this idea?
So we have to put our political ambitions in the back seat to the interests of New Yorkers. the four of us disagree on many things, but we agree that a socialist, anti-police, anti-Semitic mayor would be terrible for the city. It would be terrible for our economy. It would be terrible for equality and human rights in this city. And so if everybody cares about New York more than they care about their own political aspirations, they'll agree to the poll. I was glad that Cuomo joined so quickly. But when I put this out, I do what I do as I've done for a lawyer, which is I see a problem and I find a solution. This idea is a solution that will work, as long as the regulators approve it. Now, Cuomo is on. Adams and Sliwa have said no. Let's give them some time, right? A lot can change. A lot has changed in this race. Right. It's so frothy. So I think that when they see the traction that it's already getting, because it has been embraced very widely, other than by the two of them, because right now they're putting their own political ambitions above New Yorkers. They're good people fundamentally, I hope. Right. So I hope that eventually they get on board with it. But we have a lot of time.
Yeah, and hopefully a lot of time to figure out what poll you're going to use. I mean, that is going to be contentious in and of itself, given that a lot of folks have some strong opinions about the accuracy of polls. But Jim Walden, I wish we had more time, the independent candidate here for the New York City mayoral race. Thanks for taking some time, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jim.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.